Hello. Let me know if you can hear me. This was a very impromptu decision to create this live yesterday. So I have no idea how many people are actually going to join, even if it's just a few of us. Three, I literally created the live yesterday. Welcome, everyone. Please, welcome, welcome, welcome. Make yourself comfortable. Awesome. I made this live just yesterday, guys. So I have no idea who's going to join. And I have no expectation either, right? This is what I want to start with, right? From the get-go from this, the lesson number one for the New Year's is not to have too much expectations. And this was a lesson from my dad. And I'll tell you about that in a moment, guys. Expectations, my dad, my father was the one that told me this. He said, do not have too much expectation, Raj, because then you can get disappointed. He's like, if you go around searching in the world for things, expecting it, right? Your tunnel vision from the mind, wanting desire, right? As we might say, too much of this desire from the mind, right? From the mind, and then tunnel vision, wanting it. It can lead to disappointment, right? And disappointment is not a good feeling, is it, guys? And that disappointment comes from expecting, from this wanting this thing so badly and then going and searching everywhere to get it, and then you don't get it. And it's disappointing, right? So that's the first lesson, guys. And I learned this. This is all my lessons are from my life. I have been all over the world the last 7 years in search for things, right? And most of the time, I've been doing it because I've had a calling inside, right? A deep calling to go to a place. I'm in India right now. I'm in this place called Auroville. It's in the state of Tamil Nadu. And, there's just callings. But then many other times, I'll be really honest with you, many other times it's come from my head. And I've said, you know what, I want to go there. I need to tick this thing off, right? And I've been searching, I've been thinking that the thing that I desire is going to be there. And then I get there and I'm disappointed, right? Because I've made something up in my mind of what's going to happen if I go to this place or if I do this thing. I've created an illusion, expectation. That's what that is, right? So lesson number one, I've gone straight in there, guys. I haven't even introduced myself yet. Lesson number one is drop the expectations. Before I go into lesson number two, let me know in the chat where you're from. Where are you from? Is this your first time you've ever seen me? And I'm really happy if there's only four of us here today, to be honest. I host intimate groups. I do one-on-one mentoring and coaching, leadership coaching, one-on-one, very intimate spaces, right, where people share their secrets with me, things that they haven't said out loud. And then sometimes I have little groups as well, and they're often quite intimate as well. So four of us here, let's just make this the best time that we can, right? Because time is one thing we cannot get back. And that's lesson number two, guys. We're going into 2026. And this is all coming from flow, by the way, which is going to be lesson number three, but I'll get into that in a moment. So let me know where you're from in the chat. We have USA, we have, yeah, New York. Blake, you've done a lot of backpacking. Never look at the country. Yeah, that's the best way. When I started backpacking, that's how I did it. And then when I got older, I started building expectations because I realized I was looking for something, trying to fill a gap through the travel, right? Where it was like, actually, I needed something else. And we got Canada here as well. Perfect. So lesson number one was no expectations going into 2026, guys. This is what I want you to write down for your new year. Um, 15, 15 or so years I've been looking into ways to be most free, to be most powerful, most confident. Number one is no expectation. My dad taught me that, right? He told me this when I interviewed him. I've interviewed him because I know he's going to leave this world one day. And that goes into lesson number two. Time is limited. We can use the spiritual terms to say we're timeless, sure, but I also want to be grounded and empowered by time to say, let's make the most of this time. There's things that I'm 36 now that I wouldn't do when I was 21, right? I wouldn't do those now. I did those back then. So we have this moment right now. There's always a perfect timing for everything. It's not going to be in the future that you postpone this. Right now is calling you. Time. Lesson number 2 is maximize your time. Listen to what's calling right now and go. Right? Yeah, you can plan. You can say it's good to look forward to things, right? So you can say by July, I want to have this done, or I want to achieve this, or I want to have this experience. Or by the end of the year, even. You could say by the end of the year. This is one thing I started doing because I had massive depression for most of my life. And depression was every time the New Year's came or my birthday came, it would be like another year's passed and the same old stuff. And the things I want haven't happened. I haven't done anything. I've been scared. Can anyone relate? I'm being very honest, very flowing. There's no notes in front of me. I didn't even know what I was going to say when I joined right now. I'm just going to flow with you guys. Regret, depression is often because time is passing and our bodies know that their destiny is to end, to deteriorate. That's a spiritual teaching, you know? In yoga, we say there's layers to us. One is the physical frame. It knows it's going to die. That's why we feel like that, right? So this isn't something to spiritually override and say, hey, we're timeless. For me, this is actually going a bit deeper into the understanding of my body is going to end, right? Who relates to that without it being scary? Actually being an empowering thing. This is what I do with my work. I'm patting people on the back. I'm like cheering them on, saying, "Come on, let's go." I'm not trying to make anyone feel bad. I'm your cheerleader, right? So lesson number 2 is make the most of time. My father will leave this earth, and it has scared me for many years now because I started having these dreams about it. Of like, wow, he's not going to be here someday. And that happened because I had this vision at one point in my life a few years ago. Um, and it was just telling me to get closer to him. There's distance for most of my life, and that was due to many psychological things that many people have with their fathers. You put your hand up if you've had that with your father stuff, daddy issues, some people call it. But I don't want it to sound rude or bad. Anyone have that? Be honest. It's probably like 80% of people that I meet. She was 96. Wow, amazing. So, like, I started saying, I don't want to deal with that feeling of like regret, you know? I don't want to deal with that. So, how do we not deal with that? How do we not deal with that? Do we meditate on it? Spiritually, do some spiritual meditation? I think yes. And this is the yin yang. All of my teachings are, I call them unified leadership. So the yin yang is go and do something about it, right? So I started going places with him. I'm going to try and plan a trip with him at some point in July, talking more, simple stuff, even when it's uncomfortable, right? So that was lesson number 2 about time. And if you just take that going forward, it's going to change everything. The experience of time as well. All right, I'm just reading. Yeah, good. And then number three is flow, right? This is related to the other parts, where one was about no expectation, which is freedom from fear and analytical mind driving the car. Number two was about time. And number three leans into that because when you go beyond time, fear, then there's flow, right? And that's based off presence. That's based off expression without fear. So expression without fear, what are the ideas that you have had that you wanted to put out there, that you wanted to express? Put that in the chat. The truest version of your expression, life, you, your voice, experiences, career potential, jobs, money. What do you know to be true? That's the truest potential that's in there already. Put some things in the chat. I invite you to be courageous. You know, when are you going to be courageous? You're gonna do it now, or next year, or another year? This was one of my biggest hurdles, courage. That's going to be lesson number four. I'm just making this up on the spot. You see, lesson number three was flow, and that's flowing now out of me. Like dancers, painters, writers, poets, flow, expression. Take that into the year. Practice it. It's not these, none of these things are like fixed qualities that we either have or don't have. None of these things are a place to get to. They're practices. So that's flow. No expectations. What was the second one? Forgotten it already. Time, sorry. Time, flow. What was the fourth one I just said? I've forgotten that already now. You see, this is how everything works. It comes and goes. What was the fourth one I said? Who wants to put it in the chat? I've forgotten it already. And I'm not even embarrassed, you know? Oh, courage. That's what it was. Courage. Even this, to say, me being courageous, saying, I've forgotten what I just said. Someone please help me. Asking for help sometimes is courage. I struggled with this for the longest time, asking anyone for any help, right? When I knew it could be so useful because of fear, looking weak. And that's true. I'm not going to override that. I'm not going to spiritually override that either. No one wants to look weak. It's a thing. It's good. You don't want to look weak, right? Don't look weak. But ask for help in a strong, grounded way, right? Without having to look weak. Now you get everything. So courage is number four for the next year. What would happen if you were being more courageous? I dare someone to put that in the chat. What would change? Or at least note it down to yourself as an exercise, written exercise. There's 100 things that would happen if I was being more courageous. I'm also work in progress, even though I'm the teacher. What would happen? Dare one of you to be courageous to put that into the chat. If you're being more courageous, what would happen? Be courageous by putting that in the chat for everyone to see, to be seen. To one of my clients said this once. She was like, She called it, what was the phrase she used? Exposing myself. And I said, that sounds so intense. That's like, sounds so scary. What if you didn't frame it like that? Exposing yourself, exposition. What if it was just being seen, being true, actually? How about that? That's even better. Being true, being real. So that's the next lesson for the next year, authenticity. I sat there in this kind of fire pit. I was at this event in Rishikesh a few months ago. I sat there with these two twins, two twin girls, and they look so alike, but they have different kind of vibes. Anyone that twin here, so interesting to talk to twins. And I sat there sandwiched in between them both, right? Just like observing how are they exactly the same, how are they different, and then they switch, they take each other's role at one point. It's so interesting. Anyway, we sat there and we said, what's the one thing that will be so important to go into next year with? Um, one of them said authenticity, and I was like, wow, yeah, more authenticity. Not like she's being inauthentic, but more of it, practicing it, right? What would happen if you were more authentic and raw and exposing yourself, as someone might say? What would happen? Someone earlier said doors will open about the other one. What would happen if you're more authentic, real, raw, showing yourself? I'm showing myself here with no preparation. The only preparation that is required right now, anyway, is me being in flow, which was one of them, right? I could be in preparation and be in flow and then write down what I'm going to say for this meeting. That might be a good idea. Or I can just be like this. When I'm with my one-on-one clients, I prepare in the sense of knowing what's happened with them, uh, leaning in to where they want to go and ensuring that they get there, thinking of ideas. But then when I'm actually with them, it's in flow, right? Presence, because things are evolving all the time. So me being authentic means I'm okay with how life is. That's really the deeper lesson. I'm okay with how life is, who I am, and I'm not in anxiety, freaking out, putting on a mask to try and control everything because of fear. I hope that hit you because it's hit me many times. Who was that speaking? I've said to myself. Oh, it was a fearful version, a guarded version, a version that's trying to please mum or dad, even though mum or dad aren't even around. I'm just talking to someone. Talking to someone, and then some kind of role comes in. And it happens to everyone, all of us, right? Some kind of role comes in. So authenticity is I drop the roles. What would happen if you were being more authentic in 2026? I promise you, this is going to be amazing. I actually should write these down myself and then post them in an article, right? I know them inside, but yeah, as I'm speaking, it's getting created. So that's the next lesson. Let's make that the next lesson. As you speak, as you act, the next, um, what's the word? The next stepping stone appears. As you walk, the path appears. As you act, the path appears. We try so hard to plan everything, to plan so cleverly, step, 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 step. But like Mike Tyson said, it's all good having a plan until you get punched in the face, right? I've been punched in the face loads of times this year, like in the worst ways, in ways that I've never experienced in the last 15 years. It's probably the most challenging year of my life. Some of that I've shared, some of that I'm going to keep to myself. Things have been taken away. Lots of Kali energy has been around me. Um, and I wouldn't have planned that, you know? So things happen. I think having a plan is good, a rough direction, like someone said about travel, Blake. But as you know, Blake, you go somewhere and then being flexible, something can happen. You don't have to be like this floaty, flexible, searching and trying to be that way, but things just happen sometimes. You can still follow your plan. I have a rough plan, you know, but I don't want my plan to be so fixed that it creates anxiety, control, fear. I don't even want my plan to come from fear. That's often where a lot of plans come from. Plan from poise, calm, and power is good. Plan from fear, anxiety, worry, this sense of loss of control. So I'm going to clench on. It's often not good. What's your thoughts as I share all of this? Wow, it's only been 22 minutes and I've gotten through so many of these already. I've got a few more for you. And pausing. That's also another lesson. Pausing. Pausing, breathe. Meditation can be as simple as pausing between things, between breaths, between words. I teach people how to speak effectively, how to get their expression out, how to be unbelievably powerful as leaders. And the core lesson is, can you slow down and be still between words, between noise, pausing. Two more lessons. That's my intuition so far. Two more coming through me. Someone saying hits hard, control stemming from fears. I never really thought about. All control comes from fear. All mind comes from fear. All, unless the mind is the co-pilot. I wrote a book, if anyone wants to check it out, called Who's Driving This Car? The whole book is about who's driving. Is it the mind, the fear, anxiety, control, or is it something more powerful? Stillness, intelligence, calm. The whole book is about changing drivers when your mind's driving you crazy. So all of it, when it's done from a state of slight panic, fight or flight, when any plan, any action, anything you say is done from that place, is often coming from a seed of fear and is non-useful. From a place of stillness, though, it's different. There's a purity. A lot of the yogic teachings, and this is going to be the next lesson actually, a lot of the yogic teachings are based on purification, fire, right? They talk about creating a fire inside your stomach, inside your body, so you sweat. Anyone been to a sauna? I'm sure you have. Similar, but you're doing it in a much more profound way. And that's actually how I got into all of this. I haven't said my story yet. I got into all of this through my body 15 years ago, bodybuilding to start with, running, nutrition, then yoga, then breath practices. Then I started creating my own methodologies and teaching people it based off a combination of all of that, which I call Mind Fit. And I've got many other names for it. Of how do we use the body to purify, create fire, clear the mind. Um, it's very powerful stuff. a lot of Kundalini yoga inspired work. So purify. This is the next lesson. Purify. Use your body as a tool. Body is a tool, not really a thing that is a sculpture to look good, even though it will look good like a sculpture as a byproduct. Well done. You get that as a bonus. Purify. Use the body. This is the one thing spiritual teachings always miss out on because the spiritual teacher is unfit. And I know that might sound rude, me saying it, but I'm just stating what I've seen, right? Unfit, not into their body stuff. And that's their way of teaching, by the way. My way of teaching is my way, right? So I'm not going to make judgment, really. That's just how I'm looking at it. How I look at it is I believe having a great, fiery, and powerful body is very useful. And sometimes the teachings go overly on like the awareness part or the heart part or this other part or this or that without a powerful fire body. I think there's a massive piece missing. Huge, right? This is what I call the trump card, the life force trump card. Clears the mind, makes you feel powerful, moves through all the chakras. Mhm. So this is the next lesson for 2026. Make a vow to have the most amazing machine as a body, as an energy system, as a life force. If you just do this one thing, everything else will follow. Learn methods, find great teachers who know the pathways, the things to give you as teachings, prayers. Promise you massive things will change. And you can reach out to me as well if you like. People call me a combination of many things. And that's actually the next lesson. Let's make that the next lesson. And perhaps this is the final lesson for today. The combination of things. It's like, do we have any chefs here? Anyone like professional chef or just loves to cook? You just see what someone said in the chat. This year was incredibly hard. I took action and got an energy coach. Well done, you. She helped me so much for the 10 years. Health, eating, yoga, exercise. It's been a massive blessing. This is it. You got an energy person, not some person who talks too much and you're just listening to them and that's it. The energy person will show you actual physical, tangible, scientific things to do, actions with your body. This is the thing. I'm going to shout this from the rooftops. I'm glad you commented. Well done. Right? It's like, what are you going to do? Like, listen to Eckhart Tolle all day. This guy kneeled over and live and believe everything he says. It sounds good for the mind. It feels good for the soul, maybe as well. It feels relaxing and calm. But I'm telling you, if you're not doing the things that Amar just said, yeah, you're missing out on a lot. There's many reasons behind that, elemental reasons, um, tantric reasons, unification, all sorts of things. So that's the last lesson, guys. Unification. My offering is what I call unified leadership. Unified leadership. It has a model behind it called the unified model. I touched on it today in some ways. It has 5 Ps. I won't go into all of that, but let's just say it's all about being completely still, being in the heart, being on fire, taking actions, doing things that you want to do. It encompasses everything, right? In one moving motion. So for 2026, please be unified. This means being like a mixed martial artist. This means like being a dancer who can dance many dances, a singer who can hit all the notes, right? This is mastery. This is the only thing that I found is most useful. Because if you say this is what I did, right? And I'll tell you a personal story to make this real. I sat and meditated for a few years, long hair, in isolation, pretty much, and it was great. Entering into states of bliss, etc., is very useful training for me. But then I was like, this is boring. I'm alone, right? Good, useful, but I realized that I needed purpose. I needed expression. I needed to be seen and heard and have intimacy, right? In any form, many forms, friends, romantic, whatever you like, right? I wanted to be connected to money, right? I wanted to have a unified life where none of it feels bad or doesn't align, and it's like different hats I'm wearing. It's not that I'm talking about different hats. That's a logical way of looking at it. Unified means being everything. You can think about it like the yin yang symbol. You can think about it like the elements. You can think about it like inside outside matches. That for me is the most fulfilling. So for 2026, nail everything. And I'm making it sound easy. It is in the way I've modeled it now. I've got framework that I will teach one-on-one clients. I'll literally tell them do this for the next week, and I'll take them through a process, let's just say, which involves different parts of this unified model, and it'll be very easy for them. That's why I created this as a profession where I'm getting paid for my energy and time, right? Because I'm giving a service in a sense, my skills, things that transform people, like Amar said. Um, but to start with, if you don't want to do stuff like that, right, is just find out what your version of unified is. Work on the body, work on some purpose, stillness, heart, relationships, career, everything. Write those things down and what those look like to you. And then start drawing them into one, right? Draw them into one. That's the final message for today, for 2026. This is all I realize. I've been traveling for many years, right? And it's great to travel. But if I'm not doing something meaningful, like learning or reading or growing or serving, helping people, talking to people, is things are missing, right? Making money, you know, it can be a healthy thing to do. It is. We've been doing it for centuries, right? Work, trade. When my dad retired, he lost his mind for a while. He was angry and lost purpose. Anyone retired here, right? Lost purpose. He had to figure ways to find purpose, right? So it doesn't matter if he had time and money. He was missing purpose. It doesn't matter if he had a family and relationships and health. He was missing purpose, right? So all of it matters. So here's the last thing I'll say is start with a direction and action. Is the last lesson and a prime action that you'll take after this. One direction to go in. Like I said before, everything can change, but one direction, one thing you're going to do as a result of hearing me. Maybe you'll go and learn things, right? It doesn't have to be this flamboyant, uh, big, huge decision that you make. Maybe you just hearing me has taken you into one direction to learn things, to go towards something. Or maybe it is an action that you take powerfully, courageously, because it's coming from flow, right? Go for it. This is the time. Start next week, while it's fresh for New Year's. It's a cliche, but you can either be hating on the cliche or you can use it. What's the point hating on? What's the point hating on an idea? No point of saying, "Oh, it's a cliche. It's New Year, new life." Well, that could be very useful, right? It can be propelling motion. So write down one action that you're going to take. Feel free to put it in the chat right now. I encourage you. What's going to change after you end this call? Because, you're not going to see me. Um, you're on your own. You don't have to be on your own. You can obviously reach out to me, others, get some help, but it's down to you. I guess that's probably another way to phrase it, right? It's down to you to make decisions, to own it, to go for whatever you want to do. Make that the last lesson for today. Ownership, ownership, own it. This is your life. Own your life. You know what my dad said to me? Let me add that lesson with a story. I didn't realize it. This can be a bit vulnerable to share, right? So I hope you're ready for this. I didn't realize it. Um, but underneath something, I discovered this. Underneath was this desire to prove something to my dad, right? I didn't realize this for many years. But underneath in the subconscious, there was this stuff of like, I must be the next uh, of kin or whatever you call it, right? I have to be as good as he was, right? Even though there was things I didn't like about him, right? Or it was like I'm going to be better. There's all sorts of stuff that lives in our psyche deep down there, right? I help clients to discover these things and I help them to transform that. We go very deep into the depths of what's going on inside, and I do it myself. So I realized that, but then I had this conversation with him at one point. This was like I can't even remember, some years back or a little while back. And he said to me, "This is your life. You do whatever you want." He said something like that, these words, right? Just echoed through me. He's like, "This is yours. You do whatever you want to do." So it cuts the chain. We avoid doing things because we have fear of being rejected somewhere by mum or dad. This is the biggest truth I found, right underneath. But this is your life. So I'm going to leave those words with you. Anyone wants the recording, please message me if you want to share it with someone. I'm going to be sharing it on my social media page. I'm probably going to do some kind of sign up form so whoever wants it can put their email in and they'll automatically get it. Because I want this to be going out to everyone in the next week or so, or next month even, to be honest. So if you'd like it, let me know. Please do sign up to my email list as well if you're not on it already. The reason for that email list is for me to share lessons, uh, media, stories, useful programs that I'm running that you might like to pay for. And I'm very upfront and honest about that, right? We like to pay for things. I like to pay for things. I like to book a flight somewhere. It's exciting. So I get to create programs for someone that helps them feel like they're booking a flight somewhere, that same feeling. I used to have insecurity about this. I was like selling stuff because people hate being sold to, right? But then I started realizing, what if I make my offerings in a way where it feels like someone's booking an adventure, a flight, something really useful, or they're buying a new car, or they're doing something for their body or their health or whatever, right? So if you join my mailing list, you will see offerings that I might put out there. I have self-study courses and one-on-one support as well. That's probably the thing that I am focusing on right now. But there'll be other things coming soon, like retreats internationally. Uh, so it actually will feel like a travel. So join that. find me on socials. Someone said socials there. Yeah, you could just find me. Someone's already put it in the chat. Uh, the thing that usually happens if someone wants to find me, they'll find me, and they'll send me a message. They'll go to my contact page. They'll say, "Hey, I came to your session. I'm interested. Can you tell me a little bit more about this?" And that leans into all the things I've been saying about courage, flow, expression, going for something, right? So, yeah, if that's you, then go for it. Reach out. It'll be great to hear from you. And especially I am here to make sure you, speaking to you and all of you and individually, you have the best year ever next year. I've had the best years ever for a few years now, even through challenges. And I make sure people have the best year ever, right? So reach out if you'd like to get in contact. Um, yeah, and I'll leave it as that. Enjoy your celebrations, whatever you're up to. I'll be going to some kind of event here. Um, and then I will continue my journey through the south of India as I'm learning things from people, places, things. And then I will, yeah, probably be here for a while, let's just say, back in where I'm from, right? Back where I'm from, even though I was born in London, UK, this is really where I'm from. And let's make that the last lesson, actually. Come back to who you really are in your genes, not just this thought, this spiritual idea. You know how I've been very strong in my opinion about that today. I actually mean in your body, felt sense, in your DNA. We've been built a certain way, right? It's not a surprise how you've been built physically and how you can be built physically, right? Your DNA, your ancestry. Oh, I will have to have another session to talk about that. Your ancestry. I said to a German client of mine, she's hating on Germany. And I was like, that's like spitting in the face of your own body. And it's not a moral thing, guys. It's just, I'm talking about the science. I'm saying, like, I have this arm that's useful and it's brown and there's something in there. And this is not to say brown versus white versus this. I'm just saying there's an ancestry in us, right? Scottish roots, Indian roots, Chinese, Japanese, and even beyond that, there's something that is universal as well. Right? So there's different layers to this to look into. So you see how deep I can go sometimes. Um, but that's important. Remember who you are. I'm going to leave it as that, guys. Have a wonderful, wonderful day. And if any of these lessons spoke to you powerful directly, like I said, reach out to me. Let me know what you'd like help with, and I'll be happy to help. Have a wonderful day. See you later.